There we go. So for anyone that hasn't made it, this is what they'll be able to watch. So hopefully this is the best one, but you never know. So here's our agenda today. Kind of a brief welcome here, who we are. We're going to go through what the membership engagement and some of my priorities as the alumni rep are. Basically, that plays into the resources that we've developed for the alumni leaders, and we'll do a lot of Q&A, and then there's some contact information, and then reminders about anything might be coming up. I'll pause at the end of each segment. That would help if I shared my screen, wouldn't it? There we go.
Shazam.
Yay, hey. Just slide number 1, slide number 2, and here's where we are now. It's only because we're recording us that I'd mess something like that up, Like I said, we'll stop at the end of each section for questions, so don't feel that you have to hold them to the end. If it's something we'll get to, I will push it, but we'll get along. We're a small group. We can be a little informal, so let's have fun with this. Like I said, our priorities really increase alumni engagement. How do we do that? Well, first step is working with the people that are on the front lines, like you guys, the guys running the alumni chapters, the guys that are out there getting it done, the guys that are struggling. I have been an alumni chapter president. I have been a house corporation president. I understand what that's like. And I feel a lot of your struggles, deep empathy. But along that line, some of the other things we're working on is several career package items here. And of course, along with the lines of Grand Consul Bob Wilson, it's important that we're having fun here. So, and if we're not having fun, we're not doing it right. So with that in mind, when we talk about increasing alumni resources, this is just a quick list of what we are working on. We'll hit each one in detail. That's alumni logos, an alumni chapter toolkit, mastermind groups, working on our reporting and our recognition, and eventually alumni chapter websites. So here we go. So if you are an alumni chapter, you can have an official alumni chapter logo. We will build those for you free of charge. These are in line with Sigma Chi branding standards. And you see, we've got a couple of them done already: Houston, San Francisco, Boise, Statesboro. To get that done, all you've got to do is shoot me an email and let me know that you want one. And we'll get that taken care of for you. That comes in 4 file formats, and that would be AI, which is Adobe Illustrator. SVG is a vector graphic format for websites. PNG is a more basic one, probably something you can upload and use on Facebook. It has that transparent background, so you can move it on top of images or colors or whatever you like. And then WebP, which is similar, but it's kind of an optimized for web. And there's 2 versions of that. One is what we call the color version here. And then the second is the reversed, which is all white. So that means if you guys want to make t-shirts, you want to make hats, you want to make pens, you can take these, you can give those file formats to any design or printing company, and they'll know what to do with those. Generally, you're giving them the AI version of that. That's not something you can open unless you have Adobe Illustrator, but if your design company doesn't have that, you should probably find a different printing company. So anyway, so far so good. Any questions there? Seeing none. So here's our alumni chapter toolkit. And this basically started out of, well, how are we going to get these logos out to you guys? And well, we could email them. And then somebody says, well, hey, I forgot my, I lost that email where you sent that to me, and blah, 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 blah. So what we did instead is we just created a website with a universal login, and you can go in there and download your logos. But in addition to that, we've also started to compile resources. And that's everywhere from bylaws, meeting planning systems, or agendas, minutes, sample minutes. And so what you do, you come in and you hit that member login. I'm going to give you the access codes here at the end. I don't want to give that to you now because I know if I give you that now, you'll start looking in there and you won't be listening to me. And then you'll miss something great that I said. And hey. So when I do give you the username and password, it will be member login, and that's where you'll go. You don't have to request access again. If you hit request access, I'm going to send you the same thing that I'd send you at the end of this call. So here's our member login once again. That's going to take you to a login page. You have your username and your password. We don't have individual logins for every single person here. We are just giving generally everybody the same username and password. And maybe we change that every year. Just keep it fresh, but there's no ritualistic things here, and there's nothing secret. So it's just really to keep what we have kind of exclusive to us more than secret. So you'll come in here, you enter the username and the password, and you click login. And it drops you into the branding page. So of course we have our alumni chapters. The alumni groups are something that we're working on maybe down the line, a group for like a logo for like a whiskey cigs or, what have you. The Sigma Chi category there is a link off to the sigmachi.org page where you can download, the high quality image of the badge, the crest, the flag. It's supposed to have the fonts that the official Sigma Chi font should be there for download. So if you want to do any of that, but as you can see, you'll come in and you can look, and here's all the logos here, and so yeah, just come in, download what's yours, or if you even want, if you're so inclined and you want to take what we've done, if you've got your designer, you can take one of those AI files as a starter and go build whatever you'd like with that. So here's some of the other categories. This would be under the admin panel. So we have a bunch of sample or they're not really sample bylaws. They're actually bylaws that are in use from several different alumni chapters. So elections, those are ballots, and I think some reminders that go out. A lot of the stuff is stuff that I've used in San Diego, but stuff that's come along to me too. Banquets, poker night. The wine tasting came out of something we used to do at leadership training workshop. Was part of the alumni officer training. We'd break everybody into small groups and they would plan these hypothetical events. And so the wine tasting one we had there was one that was particularly good. It was a PowerPoint. So if you're ever thinking about putting a wine tasting event together, that's a good place to start. So mastermind groups. So any questions on the toolkit before I go to that? All right. Either I'm being very thorough or I'm very entertaining. Oh, Mark's got one.
Yeah, I had typed it in the Q&A section. I guess that's not the right area. I just wanted to know if you're already logged into the Sigma Chi website, like you're looking up names in the directory, do you necessarily need to re-log in through this portal, or will it automatically?
So this website is a completely separate entity. And we are not passing credentials like that between the two sites. So yeah, you will have to log into it separately there.
All right.
But good question. Yeah. Maybe someday in the future, that might be something we can do. Sigmachi.org as a website has its problems. We're well aware of that. And it's on the list of things to do. And we'll touch on that a little bit more later, I think. Yeah. So mastermind groups. So the idea here was that often as an alumni chapter president, it can be kind of a lonely job sometimes. In addition to that, we find that there are many chapters across the country that are struggling with the same, let's call them issues, and they've all dealt with them some ways better than others. So the idea here is that we bring the alumni chapter presidents together, not in these larger town hall forums, but in groups of 7. And we like 7 because we like 7 in Sigma Chi. It tends to be a number we use a lot. So we'd start with groups of 7 alumni chapter presidents, or at least significant officers. And we put you guys, really, here's a group. Here's some topics if you want them, but feel free to talk and schedule and meet as often as you'd like. Let us know when you're meeting. We'd like to at least sit in on some of them when we can, just to get a better understanding of what kind of issues you guys are dealing with, or things that you want to see, or maybe if there's another group that's got a solution, we can bring that to you too. So the idea here is that we're not all reinventing the wheel across the country over and over and over again. Let's find the group that has a great wheel, and let's share the ideas. Let's all help each other out and get it going. Question from John. What do you got?
How do we sign up to join a group?
So we're launching our first group is starting. We just sent out an invitation today to our first group. We are trying to do cross sections so that we don't have, there's a little variety in each group. Maybe there's a newer group, maybe there's, just to kind of keep things mixed up, to make sure that we've got a good balance. But I mean, 7 is an initial number. If you guys go to a Sigma Chi meeting, a grand chapter, and you get to talking with somebody and you'd say, hey, why don't you join our mastermind group? We don't want to get them huge, but we want to make sure that we're not locking you in on it. It's a loose structure and a general idea to make sure that you guys are moving. At the same time, if you find that, it's not working for you, let us know, and maybe there's a better match somewhere else. But I'm sure you guys are all pretty friendly guys, and we'll all do well together. So that is generally the idea behind the mastermind group. So any questions on that?
Yeah, John, I've got.
Yeah. And there's, by the way, we have Don, who is heading up he's on our membership engagement team and is the point on the mastermind group. So Don, anything I left out on that?
No, you did perfect. But John, I just sent you an individual message, but text me send me your information. I'll get you signed up for one of these masterminds. And anybody else wants to, just shoot me a private message, either here or through the my information's on the sigmachi.org. You know what? I'm going to post it up here to everybody anyway.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Don. The next thing to touch on is those lovely annual reports we ask you to do every year. And we always get such great information out of them. And if you can hear the sarcasm, that's because that's there. We need a better report. And it's not necessarily, we just don't want to, it's, hey, do the report or you can't be an alumni chapter. What we want to do is tie into, and we're working with the awards committee on this, and say, hey, let's find the chapters out there that are doing things that are where they're killing it. They're doing, these things are outstanding. They're getting it done. This is a chapter that we should be looking up to as far as what a great job they're doing. Let's find out more about what they're doing and how we can bring that to more groups. Similar to the way that the House Corporation or the Grand Trustees do an outstanding House Corporation Award, or the undergraduates even do their Peterson Award. They fill out their annual report, and that translates into the data that helps us determine, where the great chapters are, where the great corporations are, and hopefully now where the great alumni chapters are. That's being headed up by Jim Bloom out of Dallas. So any questions on that? Okay, so one of the things we've done this in the past. We've done the member planet was out there. Everybody pushed that into that a while ago. Now this is another shot at this here, and done by a lotly driven by me, as I am a professional web developer. So if you are an alumni chapter and you want a website, we will build you one. And similar to the way that if you look at a Major League Baseball site, they're not that different of a site. The text might be a little different. The layout is going to be generally the same. There's going to be a logo on the top, and there'll be a picture of your city. Things that we're looking to do into this, there'll be an event system. We can do a membership system that's tied into this, depending on, what your chapter capable, or are you tech savvy enough to, if turning a computer on is a struggle for you, then some of those options might not be that great, but we'll work with you on that. So let me think. Yeah, what am I leaving out there? Questions on that?
Andrew, would there be an opportunity to pay your dues and buy your ticket to the golf outing and things like that through this portal?
Yeah, that would be the idea there with the membership login. So you can, if you can see, we've got a join button on there. We'll put it on you to set up whether it's PayPal or Stripe is another good system that we like. They both tie directly into the site.
Okay.
So if you have that, you'd be able to charge your dues. The great thing about having a membership system on a website, if somebody pays their dues online, you can set that so that every single year that will reoccur, and you do not have to keep chasing the same guys to pay over again each year. They are automatically renewed. Yeah, same with the event system. It's you go online, we tie the Stripe or the PayPal into that, and they can pay online, right? Get signed up for the event, and being that you've collected the money ahead of time, you hope they show up, but whether they do or they don't, they've paid their way to be there. So
some of the same abilities in regards to sending out some bulk messages or doing directory updates, things like that, things that we're getting with Member Planet now, but just comes kind of clunky.
So there's a couple points there. It's a larger question. And so for a long time, the Sigma Chi fraternity has used a membership database system or membership record or whatever we're calling it, called IMUS. IMUS is slow, it's outdated, it doesn't work with a lot of things very well, and it's been that way for quite a while. But it is finally coming to what we call a definitive end of life phase as a software product, which is forcing Sigma Chi to move into something better, which is a win for all of us. If as long as I've been involved as an alumnus here with the chapter, the number one thing that if I said, hey, what could Sigma Chi do better? We want better information about our members. We want to know those things. So we are looking at a Salesforce, and I'd say we're doing a lot more than looking at it. We are making substantial steps. We've contracted. We are moving into that. And Now, will it magically make all of our data better? No, but it will make it a lot easier to talk to the database, get the information back and forth. And the more that we can update our database, or the more that we can touch it, the better the data becomes. And overall, that's the long-term strategy to getting us better membership data. There is and Leo could probably tell you more about this if we come back to this, but within that system that we have, there is an option there to message all of your members through the tool there. Now, if we talk about like an email marketing system, a lot of chapters use Constant Contact, iContact, MailChimp, isn't it? At this point, if you're using those, keep doing what you're doing with those. We don't have a system. What we will be looking to do is creating a discount or a partnership with one of the larger products out there, so that we can at least offer those products at a discounted rate to you. And of course, the better products will tie into a Salesforce-based tool like with the one that we're going to have. So if there's a point where, I don't know, what am I leaving out, Leo?
Yeah, as Andrew said, we're moving into a Salesforce environment in 2024. All that is a much more robust database for us. It does both the constituent kind of management side of it. We're updating individual records for groups and members like we always have, but also the association management side of it, which is dealing with all our chapters and conducting business, which is also really important. It will address a lot of those needs that have been brought up. I mean, there's going to be an event module where you can build your events in the database and display them on your website. There's going to be, as Andrew said, internal group messaging where you can message anybody who's on your roster in your city, whatever kind of community groups you build or we build, which will be both options. We'll be able to message in those. The one thing that is not built in is a mass mail product. Like Andrew said, I think what we've been telling people on these calls, if you have one you like, stick with it. Don't change it right now. We're probably 6 to 8 months out from being switched over, and then we'll start looking at some of those add-on solutions. Some people on this call are probably familiar with Salesforce. Some are not. It is the global leader in kind of constituent management. And so one of the features it has that we really like is it has an app store, much like you have on your cell phone for Apple Store or Google Play. And there's all these solutions we can bolt on. So once we're up and running and we've got the bugs worked out, we'll start to sync on more and more apps that do the functions that our chapters and members need. So if you have questions, there'll be lots of training coming up in 2024 about it. Lots of opportunities to get onboarded. But just know it's a very powerful tool that we're going to have a lot more options with going forward, and a lot of even stuff like payment processing a lot easier too.
Absolutely. And one of the realities of being an alumni chapter is that we are in line behind the undergraduate chapters. So having our alumni chapter websites will allow us to get in front of and getting these things out to you guys too first. So and there are plans to take what we're doing here and give them to undergraduate chapters too. So either way, and once again, just to touch on the question that was earlier, these are once again independent websites, and there is no cross login at that point. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Questions, thoughts? Is that a question? Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, coincidentally, a couple of our brothers just finished putting together our own website, and we do have electronic payment, et cetera, already set up. I'm just wondering if, because I didn't do it, if we can include some of the format and look from the this out of the box website that you're offering into ours, or is it easier for us to import it into your system? Because we have a bunch of info already. It just doesn't look anything this close to this sexy.
Well, all the text content is what we'd call, or their text, what you'd call a WYSIWYG, or what you see is what you get editor.
Okay.
So you can copy and paste the text that you've got and drop it in there.
Okay, I'll leave it to them. I just thought, boy, that would be an easy one if we could just load everything in one shot and come back as looking like that. Second question is, when you're looking at e-payments, has anyone from the fraternity looked at Ziffy?
I'm sorry, which one?
Ziffy, if I've got the spelling right. It was chosen by our webmaster because it's free. And it seems to be pretty compatible with most of the students and alumni e-payment methodologies.
Yeah,
That's not one that I'm familiar with, but Leo, go ahead.
I think that all the payment processing will be handled by Salesforce. So part of our contract with the new database will be able to handle payments, process them. And it's all PCI compliance. We won't hold anybody's information, but it'll process through Salesforce, both internationally and domestically, which is important. And it'll accept obviously credit card transfer, like ACH transfer, any kind of electronic payment the chapters want to make. We have chapters making all kinds of different payments, so it'll be a lot easier to pay whatever it is on. I mean, I think we've all experienced some challenges at times paying through the current system, and having to call in and do it will not be an issue going forward. So I think it's I've made a note, Mark, and I'll check with our chief information officer, but I'm 99.9% sure that that's just part of the bundle with Salesforce, is they're going to handle the payments.
Understood. Can I have my webmaster contact you directly for any proper questions? Because I am sort of shooting from the hip here.
I would say for website questions, I would send them to Andrew, just because he's really the one building those specific sites. And if it's more broad based about database integration or anything like that, payments, you can send them my way.
All right. Next question is then for Andrew. Do you know if our new system is going to be supporting the expanded ASCII set?
No, I don't know the answer to that question, but I can ask. Okay. Dale Thomas is the guy on that one.
The reason it's important for McGill is that we have a number of international students as well as French Canadian students, and accents over letters just don't work. I mean, accent aigu, accent grave, circonflexe, no. But then we've got some guys from the Scandinavian area who are starting to get umlauts and that don't compute. So when people look them up in the directory, it's like a mystery.
So my gut says yes, just because Salesforce is such a large global partner. And this is not
have an international footprint, so that does make
my gut says yes. Okay. But I'm going to check with Dale on that too. Just given the scale of Salesforce and where they're playing outside of fraternities, we're one small part of what they're doing. My gut says yes, because I think that it would just be, I don't know how you could be thriving in today's market and not doing that part of it.
I think
I would follow that with a yes too, because one of the issues that we've had with bringing our data out of IMUS is because IMUS doesn't. And that caused breakdowns in field exports, so that the data doesn't always match up. And, whether it should be somebody's first name, it's showing there. And it just gets further out of line as you go down into the fields. If you play with database exports and imports, you get that.
Yeah.
John, what do you got?
What y'all talking about is outside of my pay grade or whatever. What kind of person do you get to be an alumni webmaster, so I can maybe recruit somebody that speaks the language that y'all are speaking?
Well, we want to make it as easy as possible, and at least an entry level in the beginning. So as long as somebody can turn on a computer, open up what we call a browser,
I can do that.
Yeah, then you're pretty close to along the way.
I think I probably need to give you a call separate from this and have a discussion with you.
Sure. We're a little ways out on it. Our first site is for the San Francisco Alumni Group. That's our alpha test. We'll do a couple beta tests. The trick is not only to make a website that looks good and is easy to use, but it's also something that we can deploy over and over and over again consistently in a relatively quick way that keeps working over and over again. To touch on something that Mark had there is that there are alumni groups out there that have bought domain names, right? Maybe it's, for example, San Diego Sigma Chi alumni.org or Dallas Sigs or whatever. If you have one of those, that's great. We can tie those to the site. If not, we can get you what we'll call a San Francisco alumni.sigmachi.org. So we've got the permission to enable all of these, what we call subdomains, and then give you a branded website address. That's easy to use, it looks good, and it's in line with Sigma Chi branding.
Andrew, is that a separate domain purchase, or is that already
The
property?
subdomains are included. If you want to buy a domain name, you're paying somewhere probably between $10 to $25 a year for those. They're not outrageously expensive, but
Well, I guess
one of the things that we find is there's an alumni chapter or even an undergraduate chapter will develop a beautiful website, but then the person that developed that or graduates, moves away, and then the site gradually starts to become outdated, fall apart. Part of what's going to happen in the background of these websites is backups, software monitoring, so all of the applications embedded in the website stay updated. So all of those kind of maintenance tasks, happen without you guys having to worry about them. Now, to tie back to where we talked about earlier with the Alumni Chapter Award, are you adding new events to your website? Are you posting news updates? Those will be things that are easy to do. And if you are doing those will check boxes and get you closer to an Alumni Chapter Excellence Award. So
as it stands right now, then you said initially, I think, that if we wanted a website to be built, we just send you a request for that. What information would you require of us, or is that an offline conversation?
At this point, we're alpha testing, so we don't have a full prototype yet that I can show you. I'm just showing you a screenshot of what we've got. But as we do that, and as we work with our initial chapters, we'll find out kind of how it works as we deploy them. I mean, I do this professionally, so I get a lot of that, but there are nuances to our organization, and as the data comes together, we'll dial that in a little bit more. So, but we do want to have these rolling well before, I'd say, the beginning of second quarter next year, I think. So at least have a couple going. I'd like to have our alpha test ready to show you guys before the end of the year. So that's exciting though, right?
Yes.
All right.
No,
Any more
that's-
questions on that one? What's that, Bill? I'm sorry.
Yes, it doesn't take that much to excite me. So that's,
All right. I'm going to turn this one over to Leo.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. Just a few things here. One of the things we have been engaged in the last year and a half or so is getting into career and mentoring support, career focused mentoring for our undergraduates. The reason this is important is if you're going to mentor undergraduates, you need to have alumni like yourselves who are interested and passionate about helping and giving back. This fall, we have launched Sigma Chi's first career mentoring program pilot. We have about 110 young men who are paired with alumni in their specific career fields of interest that are going through a guided mentoring relationship this academic year. We hope to substantially grow that program in the future, and some of those database improvements will make that a lot easier for us to do that and scale it with technology. But why it's important to you is as we grow that, we will need to significantly increase the number of alumni who are willing to serve as career mentors. And so we turn into alumni chapters to help us recruit volunteers for that. The good news about this, it's a really light lift for alumni. You know, it's getting on a Zoom call once a quarter, maybe, with a young man and giving some advice, sharing your story, sharing your experiences. And so it's a great way for those guys in your groups who haven't been super involved with Sigma Chi, maybe just kind of socially engaged through the alumni chapter, to give back in a little more meaningful way. So we'll have more information coming about that, but we are very excited about where the program's headed so far. We're also doing resume reviews this fall. We did this last fall and did about 300 resume reviews for undergraduates and some young alumni as well. We will review anybody's resume that would like one, alumni, undergraduate. Obviously, the juniors and seniors in college tend to have the most interest in this. We did about 300 last fall. We're hoping to do the same amount, if not more. We have a team of about 8 alumni volunteers who are experienced as recruiters or HR professionals who are doing those reviews. They went out last week. The deadline for submission is in November, and we'll get the feedback to those young men by the holidays, December 15th, so they can start putting those to good use. And so this is another great way. If you have experience in that, you'd like to write resumes, you can let us know. Or if you're engaged with a local chapter, definitely encourage those young men to send their resumes in. Obviously, it's a pretty light lift. They already have a resume. And as you can imagine, we get the full spectrum of resumes that are pretty much ready to go out the door and some that need a lot of help. And so we're excited to be able to provide that resource and for our alumni to offer that service back. And the reason all this is important, obviously, if we can keep those young men engaged right when they graduate or as they get ready to graduate, they're more likely to want to be involved as they get older. And obviously, if we can be a part of their career journey and their success in life, they're going to feel even more engaged with and supported by Sigma Chi, where they're going to want to stay involved.
Any questions on that one?
Hey, Leo, I got a quick question.
Yeah.
I'm working with this and it's going really well with the resume review. I guess in the system, everything's working really well. So congrats to you on that. But I think the one question I had was there's the spot on there for score.
Okay.
I'm not a score. I'm giving feedback, but the score has anything to do with me, right?
No, I don't think so. I think that's a hangover
Okay.
from when they would do scholarship reviews. But Leslie, if I'm wrong about that, chime in. But I think you can ignore that, Joe. And thank you for that.
Yep. Ignore it. Yeah, it's just a bug in the system.
All right. Yeah. They're all zeros.
I know. Yeah. Thanks.
That means no points off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark, did you have a question on that one too?
It's just weird. Again, along with the website that we sort of grew ourselves, a few years back, one of the actives and I got together and put together what we called the Connect program. Of course, the E is Sigma. Anyway, and we did what really resembles this. When I was gathering our alumni database to celebrate our 90th anniversary, I ran into literally hundreds of guys, and through the exchange of emails, found out what they were doing for a living and started hooking up kids with long time ago graduates under 3 basic questions. What are you studying? What do you want to do after graduation? And where do you want to live after graduation? And I've even got a couple of them hooked up with Brother Kasner in Washington, D.C. They want to go in the State Department for some reason. So are we supposed to marry into this program, or
I'm going to actually ask Leslie. Leslie,
how can we fit?
chime in. Exactly what we're doing is collecting that information. So I'll let Leslie answer that.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. So, like Leo alluded, one of the things we're trying to do within the member engagement committee is get a sense of what's already happening at the alumni chapter and regional level. So if you'd be interested, we'd be happy to hop on a call and just kind of talk about what you're doing. And then one of our goals is to host some sort of, panel or information share. Maybe this becomes its own mastermind group, where we can just kind of put out there into the membership, this is what other alumni chapters are doing. But then also we want to support you. So if there's anything that the national, the international headquarters can do to support what you're already doing, we certainly don't want to take it over by any means. But if there are ways that we can work together, update information, we'd be happy to do that.
Well, yeah, one of my limitations is I really know a lot about the Gamma Lambda chapter. I'm really reaching outside my lane when I start contacting like Bruce in Washington. Luckily, I know him, but this would be great if I've got access, especially to the psychology department. None of our alumnus from olden days are in that, but I've got a lot of students looking for, contacts in the industry. So
Yeah, and like Leo
I'm
alluded,
kind of fumbling around here.
yeah, if there's any specific requests, I always try to take those. I do get kind of one-off requests every so often. Hey, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z. But once we make that shift to our Salesforce platform, there's other integrations like Leo mentioned that are going to make all of this, whether it's our program or anything that local or alumni chapters are doing, it's going to make all of this connecting a lot simpler and a lot easier.
Speaking of Salesforce, how much data mining are we tasking it to do for us? Because it sounds like a streamlining of career profiles might, just put us into the next, generation of things to work with.
Yeah.
The initial process is to take what we have in IMUS and bring it into a platform that works better.
And then clean it
And
up.
then once we have that there, and then we know that everything's working well, and we're starting to feed it better, then we start to look outside of that and say, okay, where can we find more information to fix our data?
Yeah. And just as one final comment, this is probably the easiest thing for us to do as alumni chapters. Asking somebody to mentor a student, if they're not overrun at tax time as an accountant, they're pretty always on board. I've not had many people say, I really have nothing to contribute and that it's back. It's kind of like chapter 6 out of Dale Carnegie, ask somebody for a favor, start bringing them all back in.
Yeah. If there's a theme to a lot of what we're looking, if you can kind of sense it, it's we're not just developing tools, we're developing processes to make a lot of these things repeatable and work efficiently so that we can make them happen over and over and over again without having to, for lack of a better word, reinvent the wheel each time. So, all right. Leo, let's take our last slide here, and then we go to our Q&A, and then I give you the passwords.
Perfect. As you've probably noted over the last few years, kind of coming out of the pandemic, Sigma Chi, a lot of people have done more virtual events, and we are certainly not part of that trend. But we launched the Sigma Chi Learning Consortium. It's a webinar platform earlier this year in February of 2023. Since that site has launched, we've had over 10,000 views of the programs on the platform. If you're not familiar with it, we'll put the site up, or we can drop the site in the chat right now. It's a wonderful website resource, webinar resource that we are able to put Sigma Chi generated content that is either live or pre-recorded on there, as well as our vendor partner produces other webinars that we get to share on there as well, which are of value to our members. And so what we are really looking to do is continue to grow that platform. Through the platform, we're able to stream content on that site, but also through Facebook and LinkedIn. And so we're getting more and more views every time we do things. What I would tell you is it's obviously still a relatively new program with a lot of early success. Check out the website. What Leslie has linked to is the Sigma Chi generated content in our signature series. Those are all programs we've developed, or alumni chapters like the DC and New York SIG Talks are on there. check it out, watch an event, share it with your alumni chapter. Definitely talk it up. It's a great resource. Everything on there can be watched when it airs live or can be watched in archive views. Most people enjoy it, honestly, in archive because they can watch it at their own leisure. It's a great tool if you're looking for something to do with your alumni group. If you want a speaker for a luncheon or just, send something else, hey, we're going to talk about this the next time we meet. So try to watch the webinar beforehand. So definitely feel free to use them as much as you want to. If you have a great speaker that speaks at your events once a year, or you have alumni in your group who's a new author and wants to share about what the book's about, and it'll be interesting to our membership, let us know. We can connect. We are trying to create more and more Sigma Chi generated content. That is our most popular material. For example, October was mental health awareness. So we had a Sigma Chi who's a mental health counselor give a program. We're working on some Veterans Day programs for November. On Founders Day in June, we had an awesome history and ritual talk with Grand Historian Mike Codina and past Grand Historian Eric Hansen. It's been very popular. We've got SIG Talks, like I said, from the New York and DC alumni chapters. Their programs are on there. A couple of guys who are Sigma guys who are authors have got great leadership books coming out. We've been able to share with them. They've been able to kind of share their book and their teachings with us. So really a great tool. Check it out, spread the word. And if you have recommendations for us, we'd love to hear them.
Awesome. So here's my contact information, Leo's contact information, and Leslie's contact information. So Sigma Chi. So please shoot me a message and let's set up a call and we can talk and I can figure out where I can help and what I can do and how I can serve our membership more, I guess. So there's our reminder there. If you haven't done so already, if you've got an order of Constantine candidate or a significant SIG candidate, those are due at the end of the month. The link is there. And drum roll. There is our alumni toolkit username and password. Please note that it is case sensitive and that is a plus sign at the beginning. If you guys want to jump, I'm going to put that in the chat too. So if you guys like to copy and paste, you've got that also.
Good idea.
Feel free to jump there and take a look at that. And really the rest of the time is yours here. Questions, thoughts, ideas, please share.
Sorry. Oh, this is great as far as I'm concerned. It's nice to have this idea of continuity because, yes, it was kind of fun for the guys that put together the website. Yes, it's been fun to, play switchboard with a bunch of Gamma Lambda brothers, but if we could take it to the next level, that would be great. And had I died in a car accident yesterday, it would be nice to know that it would still keep going,
We prefer winning the lottery and moving to Tahiti instead of dying in a car accident.
Well,
it's more fun that way.
My superstitious guy at the Royal Bank says, always say, if I died tomorrow, it's very bad luck. Say if I died yesterday. So that's where I was going with that. I always want to win the lottery, but again, not tomorrow, today. So,
yeah, there you go.
Just in case you're taking facts and figures, sign me up for those too.
Thank you, Mark. What else we got? Anybody else? Bob Schroedel, you've been unusually quiet. What's going on there?
Hey, I'm sick.
Fair enough.
I've been coughing through the whole event.
Good, good. I'll hope you get better soon. John, what do you got?
Probably not germane to this conversation, but what are we doing as far as sharing newsletters? I get the one from South Florida, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, what do I do to get my newsletter out to other people and get their newsletters to see what they're doing from an alumni standpoint.
So probably the easiest thing to do, and this is something we talked on one of the calls yesterday about, add one of my email addresses to your newsletter and send it out. I think what we talked about was looking at the format as they came in, and if we can add them onto the toolkit, I think that's we can have a whole catalog of newsletters that have been out. And if we can categorize them properly, maybe we add a link where somebody else can sign up for your if you have a sign up link for the newsletters, we can make those available too.
Okay.
Yeah, we get a decent amount at just the generic alumni@sigmachi.org. So if that's another email you can add if you want to on there. And what I'll do is I'll start forwarding them to Andrew as I receive them. And then we'll, like he said, we'll screenshot them or PDF them or whatever is the best way to preserve the formatting, so other people can view them. But there is, if you don't do one and you want some help, we've got some templates, we got some tools we can give. If you're just like, hey, I've never done that before, or I want to improve what I'm doing, let us know. We can help with that too.
Yeah, great question. I'm glad you touched on that. We talked about that, and I think that's an easy thing that we can do to share. So,
hey, other news: Andrew just became a proud Sigma Chi parent.
yes, yeah. My son was initiated at the Rochester Institute of Technology on Saturday.
That is so cool.
Congrats.
And the other thing that it happens to tie that October 28th is the same day that my original chapter was initially installed too. Now, granted, it was 34 years ago or something like that, but yeah. But either way, now it's that's a date I can't forget. So, but yeah, great chapter up there. Great guys. They killed it on the initiation. Just really got it done well, and that's so much better than the alternative. So.
I got another question. In November of 2025, Gamma Iota will be 100 years old. And so we're starting to put committees together to put that celebration together. So who can I talk to kind of get some information on how they've done that in the past at other chapters?
John,
That is a
shoot me a note.
great thing you brought up. Yeah, we're putting together a chapter reunion package. Is something that's in serious development. So Leo, take it away.
Yeah, John, just shoot me a note. We'll talk. We'll hop on a call.
Okay.
Never too soon. You're in the right. You're right where you need to be. But good to be thinking about it already, and we can certainly connect on some specific next steps and calendars to get on and those kind of things.
Okay, will do.
All right. Couple more minutes before we hit the hour mark, and which will be our hard stop. But anything else? It's okay if we break early. So, but all great questions so far, and I think they touch on a lot of things that we're talking about. So, yeah. Note that for my email address, Andrew is at sigmachi.com. And the Andrew.Crossan is sigmachi.org. So.
Which one should we use?
I get both of them. Just don't send them to both.
All right. Because
Pick one, yeah.
No, we're having issues with our Grand Praetor. We send to the sigmachi.com and we get a bounce back mail not delivered emails saying that it's been rejected from sigmachi.org. You look down at the email, it's calm.
Yeah. Yeah, there are technical reasons why that happens, and the nuances of a large organization's email system are are a conversation for another time, but yeah,
Absolutely.
.com was something that was out there a while back, and you had to do a couple things to keep it in play, and not everybody's done, as far as from what I've heard. So
Okay.
but either way, both of them get to me. So excellent. Well, I appreciate all that you guys do for Sigma Chi. We appreciate all of the hard work, because I know it's a lot, and we're glad to have you on board, and anything that you want to share, or and just one last thought, if something I forgot, was that if you have bylaws, or you've got an event flyer, or you have anything that would be a good fit on the toolkit, please send it to me. Let's get it up there. Let's share as much as we can, and let's help where we can, and learn where we can. So on that, I appreciate your time. It's great talking to y'all, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.